What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of CxW, the comic and wrestling collaboration podcast where Suplex City meets Gotham City. I'm your host, Jeff, joined by my co-hosts, Bree, Chris, Mack, and Marcus. What's going on, everybody?
Yo.
Hey, what's up?
Got a lot to talk about. My man waited until he was like, I'm going to get my what's up by myself. Right. I hear that. See, Mac is woke, yo. I'm telling you. He knows. You like the KG veteran that puts his foot on the rope when he's getting pinned.
That's right. Or just one finger.
Right, just one finger. No, that was so beautiful. Yo, when I saw that, I was just like, it was like opera. I just stood up and was just, bravo, bravissimo. Like, that's just art. That was poetic. But yeah, man, we get into this news. We talking Raw, SmackDown, all the news going on with pro wrestling and with comics. It's going to be fun. So let's get into it. First off, just starting on a little bit of sad news. Earlier this week, Matthew Rosny Anoa'i died at age of 47. For those of you who may not know, that's Roman Reigns' brother. He was part of 3 Minute Warning, ironically with Umaga, who also passed away, and Shane Helms. And what I remember when he was the superhero in training. The superhero in training, Rosie. So that, you know, I always, he was one of those wrestlers that, you know, how could you hate a Samoan wrestler, right? Like, it seems like they, for the most part, their percentages of having good wrestlers and memorable wrestlers are pretty high. He always brought joy to me as a wrestling fan, as a young wrestling fan, and even today. Like, when I remember when Bischoff would come out and look at the time and say, you guys have about 3 minutes, and then the music would hit and they just cleared the ring. It was just good memories for me.
That was just another underrated part of like the Ruthless Aggression era. Like, you had Duggan and Buggett Enterprises with Teddy Long, with Roddy Mack, and Mark Henry.
Do-Rag History Week
was another, like, that was just another act that just did get his full due. And you know, and Jamal and Rosie were like just so good at what they did, you know, and you know, it's very unfortunate to see, you know, now that, you know, they're no longer with us here on this earth, and they were like, they really set a blueprint in a way for their nephews and brother, you know, respectively, going into you know, WWE now with the Usos and Roman Reigns, and you know, they were just and Rosie, you know, he was pretty underrated in his own right, especially with his time with Hurricane. It showed that what type of personality he had. You know, he brought like a lot of a good comedic side to him, you know, that, you know, many of the members of the family didn't really have, other than, you know, of course, Dwayne and Rikishi.
Right.
Yeah.
What'd you think, Bree?
Yeah, I think it was sad. Definitely similar to you. I enjoyed his work as Rosie, and that's what I remember him most being. So it definitely prayers to Roman Reigns and his family and the whole NOI tribe. So yeah, it's a sad occurrence.
47 is too damn young to die.
It is,
and it just hurts my heart, man. And it's one of those things. Anytime when I hear somebody that young pass, it's just another reminder. No matter what you got going on, yo. And of course, I don't know if you guys heard any speculation on what might have been the cause, but wrestlers dying young is never a good thing.
A good thing.
Dying young is never a good thing, but when wrestlers die young, you can speculate on or assume what it could have been. But it's one of those things where I always say, yo, you make time to go to the doctor, get checkups. If you know you have issues, stay on top of it, because you never know. We only get, at least in this century, we only get one body. Or at least one body that we can't transport to a totally new one. I mean, there's surgeries, but in terms of the one body that you have, you know, that as far as I know, you only have one life. So I'd rather people, I say that to my boys all the time, any of my friends, I'd rather you be paranoid than you be apathetic and something creep up. So
yeah.
All right, next up in lighter news, there's rumors that Maria Maria Bennett and Matt Bennett are headed back to WWE and possibly on the SmackDown brand, so that the exodus from the Owl, the TNA Owl, continues. Is this a big deal to you guys? Do you think this is interesting or important for what they could bring?
I absolutely think so.
Yeah, I agree. I do think it's important.
What do you think? What do you think would be their benefit? Like, how could they interact with the current talent on SmackDown? Like, how do they amplify the roster?
They'll just be able to like guide some of the younger stars to like reach their full potential. So, looking excited for that.
Were you, Chris? Did you know anything about their? Because I feel like I always missed them in any of the handful of times I watched TNA. What was their gimmick when they were? Do any of y'all know what their gimmick was when
Yeah.
He was just a regular generic chosen one style gimmick.
Perfection.
Maria was the. Yeah. It was well, I forgot what was this. I think his nickname was something like that.
Miracle.
It was
like
the Miracle, Mike Bennett.
The Miracle, Miracle, Mike Bennett. Yeah, it was just generic, heel couple tandem, and Maria's just great in her own way. But she was the real breadwinner of the crew, and she will be the boss. And the last angle I remember they'd have before they left was with Allie and Braxton Sutter, who are real life husband and wife themselves, and they just had this little angle there that blew off, and they just ended up leaving. I was surprised that I thought that Bennett and Maria was going to make a return to Ring of Honor, but I guess time heals all wounds, and and their WWE is happy to bring Maria back to the fold, and they finally want to give a shot to Mike Bennett, who I always felt like was WWE ready, even though he's not a cup of tea as a wrestler. He just had the look and the persona that can make it into that company very easily.
Okay, cool. I'm looking forward to they can, however they can contribute. And I think SmackDown is one of those shows that's perfect for you to showcase what you can do in a short amount of time. So we'll see with that. Moving on, staying in TNA, looks like WWE and their lawyer faction, the real authority, the WWE lawyers are trying to work out a deal with Impact to get the broken Hardy's IPA, IP, I should say IPA. I'm fucking think that's some subliminal shit about beer. I don't even like beer like that. But the IP over to WWE, which, first off, I don't understand the contracts that they sign in TNA, the talent, because they've never been hawkish like this on other people's stuff. I guess until they saw that popped and they knew they were going to eventually go back. But from all the stuff that Rebby's been saying, I feel like if they really wanted to drag it out on some legalese, Law and Order shit, they could, and they would win. And I said that, believe last week, where once they get WWE lawyers behind them, they can. That's probably why TNA or Impact or whatever they're calling themselves is going to say, "Yo, let's just work it out, get some cash." And that's what I would do. Yo, give them the broken. Just give us some money.
I felt like with the Hardys being there, they had the backing of the WWE lawyers, and with WWE in general having the backing of a so and so friend of the administration, they could easily crush Impact.
Yeah,
that is a small business. Low key.
And there was also
low key.
Small business.
And there was also Ribby, or I don't know if I'm saying the name right, but Matt Hardy's wife, Ribby Sky, she was saying how the Hardys have like the rights, the like ownership rights to the broken gimmick. So that's an interesting wrinkle as well. But
yo, they paid for all of that stuff on their own, like the I guess the various deletions, all of the stuff that they did. They put skin in the game for that. So that's why I said if it was me, once I went to WWE, the first thing I did before we signed the contract is, yo, we got to get my gimmick back. And then once they do, Matt has to kind of be woke with that also. to make sure that there's something tied in where he doesn't get. And I feel like the Hardys are more mature now and more business savvy, where they won't let themselves get swindled out of it. But even with that, WWE has never been hard body on people when they leave and they keep their names and go wrestle the indies. So, at the end of the day, I don't think it's that crazy. But I would, if I was them, which I'm certainly not, it would behoove them to make sure they're in that meeting too. Like, yo, don't forget, we created this. We just needed you to get it back.
Oh, Nat would definitely be in those meetings, man.
I would be in the meetings in character. Procure my broken billions back from yo, you see the vignettes when he was trashing the they teleported the titles to Decay. Yo, I was crying. Yeah, it's just a mess. TNA is a mess, but if I'm Impact, just give me some money and go your separate ways. I'm not even trying to hold you. We know we don't got it like that. It's you fighting a battle on multiple fronts. You fighting the government, you fighting Vince McMahon, and you fighting the Hardys. You gotta know when to fold them in that regard. So I hope they smarten up and get that cash, because I would. All right, so the big one interesting bit of news, and I wanted to bring this up on the podcast with y'all. Sheamus did an interview with the UK Sun where he was talking about the Attitude Era versus this current era. And he rode for this era. Here's his quote. The level of athleticism has evolved so much since we watched as kids. The athletes that WWE has now are far superior to anything that we had in the 1980s or 90s. You look back at the Attitude Era and the level of entertainment we put in the ring now. The Attitude Era doesn't even come close. I'm not afraid to say that either. You watch some of the stuff Cesaro does in the ring with his size, the way he moves around the ring, the moves he hits, the way he picks up guys twice his size is just a different level. I feel like I did that quote I didn't do it justice without the Irish accent. I said it in a New York accent. We have enough Irishmen here, so hopefully that translates. So I will go to you first, Bree. Do you co-sign what Sheamus said? Do you believe that the athletes and the overall this era is better than the Attitude Era? Or even before I start, is that, hold on, I'm sorry to cut you off, but before I go, is that two different questions about the actual era versus the athletes? Because I feel like a lot of people were, I saw a lot of people conflating the two. Is it two different questions?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the era itself, there is no comparison. But with the athleticism and the style of the Attitude Era, I can agree with Sheamus saying that the PG era is a bit smarter because they work smarter. But yeah, I can't completely agree with the Attitude Era is better as a whole, because it just doesn't have that feeling. It doesn't have that vibe, that excitement that the Attitude Era had.
What about you, Marcus?
Yeah, I definitely I agree with Sheamus. Because just like with the athletes now or the wrestlers, they're just like on a whole different like level, and they have I don't want to say they have to work more as well. So it's like night in and night out, they're putting their bodies on the line, and just like the product now, I just feel like if we're looking at it from just like a wrestling standpoint, I think the pure product now is better than it was in the Attitude Era, because the Attitude Era got to get away with like all these stupid gimmicks and like easy quips, but now you actually they tell a story through their wrestling. So I definitely agree with Sheamus on this one.
So go ahead, Simon.
Bree, when you talk about athletes working smarter now as opposed to what it was during the 1990s and 2000s, around during the Attitude Era, is it more or less them working smarter, or than just working faster and taking more risks, the work rate being, extremely higher than it was before, and that's being like a pivotal focus now in WWE as it was not much of a focus was then in the 1990s?
I think my interpretation of working smarter is the fact that they're not doing any more stupid stunts like they did. Like, you don't see people completely jumping off ladders like every single night, or running into tables, or busting their heads open, just doing stupid shit. So I think working smarter is working to their advantage now, since they have to work longer in this current era.
Here's something.
I get
go
that.
ahead.
But for me, I also agree with Seamus too about just as far as like the athletes of today just being so much better, and all around they were like during the attitude era. Personalities, of course, the popularity. Now the popularity is now that's really different to where it was before, because now less people are watching now as they were like when we were growing up as kids, during the attitude era. But more people are still knowing about it, knowing about the product of WWE because of social media, and the business itself is 1,000 times bigger overall, and the industry is bigger than it was then. Because you wouldn't get a set like WrestleMania 33 in 1999 like you would get now, and it's just it's just a different business model now. And for me, I personally prefer this era compared to the Attitude Era. There's not the stars of today aren't as big as Austin or Rock. The only one I will put up there is John Cena, and I really would put him toe to toe with those guys strictly from the WWE and wrestling business standpoint. A lot of folks nowadays, when I make those comparisons, and I put John Cena in the greatest of all time discussion, it's because they will put up the Rock's, and Austin's figures outside of the company, and the success that they're having outside now, especially with Dwayne Johnson. Of course, like Fast and Furious 8, the Fate of Furious, it got like a super huge gate, for his first weekend, and The Rock is like, what is he, the biggest box office draw in film right now?
Yep.
And that's pretty fucking awesome. But Cena, he has the potential to do that too when he finally decides to give it up full time and get right into movies. So you never know. The door is always open there. But for me, I do prefer this era now. In ring wise, of course. But the stuff in that era, I mean, it's just something that can never be duplicated. It's just different times, and and the popularity, it just changes. But I feel like it's still as popular as ever been before.
Yeah. I would say this. What my thoughts are, in terms of the athleticism, I don't think that you can argue that this era of wrestler is more athletically sound than the 90s wrestlers. When Kane and The Undertaker, and I'll even put someone like Bam Bam Bigelow in there, Vader, when you saw those guys work, these were big men that were nimble and agile, and that was something that you marveled at, because you don't see that, because the big men we were used to in that era were stiff and they were just doing feats of strength. Now you got dudes like Braun Strowman looking like he's on 205 Live with the moves that he's pulling off. And it's right. And if you're a big man, you're expected to do more than just the status quo, and they can. So athletically, I think that I agree with Sheamus. It's just like any sport. It's the NBA, the NFL. The athletes of this era are better athletes. Players, you can go back and forth, but in terms of athleticism, and even just in terms of the pure wrestlers that are here now, I think that there's more pure wrestlers now than there were in the Attitude Era. In terms of the actual eras itself, just like what you said, C-Mac, it's hard to. The Attitude Era was lightning in the bottle, and there were a lot of factors that played to that. One, the fact that WWE or WWF at the time was trying to save their business and save their life versus WCW. With that Monday Night War, the whole purpose of that Attitude Era was to top anything WCW did and be better and keep working and keep going. So they had to be on point every single week. So they tried to put their best show on every single week to the point where they were getting smacked in the ratings, but you always had to switch over because you didn't know what WWE was going to do to top themselves. And yeah, they went over the top. Yeah, they went crazy a lot of times, but they had to because of the stiff competition that they face. At the same time, I would say where this era benefits is the way, while less people are watching, I believe it's more widespread. The most exposure I had outside of WCW and WWE was ECW was a godsend. When I first started watching that was a godsend for me. I wasn't big into Japan because communication wasn't as robust when I was younger as a wrestling fan, the Attitude Era. We didn't have social media like that. The internet wasn't, you couldn't find stuff with streams and all that the way you can now. And just the actual, you had to be like a legit wrestling head. And if you were adult, it was probably easier for you to go to these shows and pay money. But when you were a starving teenager living off of your parents' money, just trying to see another day in class, it's not really going down like that. But now, you got Ring of Honor, you got Evolve, you got New Japan, you got all of these different promotions. Then WWE, the way it's evolved, it's its own shop where they can create from the lowest level to the highest level, and they work with everybody else. So this era, where I think this era is better, is just the variety that WWE can have, where you would wait for a WCW wrestler to jump ship to WWE, and that was like, oh shit. Now we don't know where they're coming from, and you could prepare them in NXT, or they could just hop straight from wherever they came from and come into Raw or SmackDown. But in terms of the actual era, this era's had moments that the same way the Attitude Era has, but I just think that Attitude Era was like a moment in time. It's like, to me, it's like mid to late 90s hip hop, where you just got a certain level of excellence, and just because of the competition and where people work creatively, that you just won't be able to recreate. You don't need to be better. You just have to be good in your own era and be the best in your era you can, and history will remember you fondly. But I agree with you guys in the sense that athletically, yeah. Era-wise, you can debate that. You could debate. There was a lot of trash in the Attitude Era, but in terms of the moments, this era is catching up. But that era, and we also was watching it as kids, so that's always going to have a place in our heart. Yeah. You know, like Undertaker was actually a dead person to me that came to life to wrestle once a week. So you know what I mean. So that it's hard to break nostalgia, but yeah. I do agree with that. It's a good debate, man. I've seen that debate a lot of times on social media, where people always say, you know, one of these days we're gonna have an honest talk about the Attitude or whatever. But yeah, it's you remember stuff at times more fondly than what it is. That's also a good question I'll pose to you guys. Do you think that the Attitude Era has aged well?
Not at all.
Nah.
Nope.
It has not. Aged horribly.
Today's standards? Hell no. It did not age well.
Definitely problematic.
Yeah, I remember starting.
The only thing that's aged well were the matches that involved, especially like the tag team trio war between the Dudleys, Edge, Christian, Hardys, because people they think the folly of that, and every time the Hardys are in a ladder match now, there's always going to be fire for some reason because of those matches back then. And Kurt Angle,
Milk
the progression of Triple H.
Yep.
Like the things that, like stuff that Gangrel interests will always age well. Trish Stratus and Lita will always age well. I mean, stuff like that. But the problematic stuff, like they were literally like using like homophobic slurs freely at one point.
They were
on the show.
Yo, Vince McMahon said nigga on. Yo, I still can't believe that shit. Katie Vick.
Neither can I.
Bro, there was a lot.
Oh my god.
The stereotypes were on
that shit,
a million.
I remember that segment. That Katie Vick segment, man. I remember watching it so fondly. I was in tears watching the whole time of how awful it was. Yeah, I'm like, my God, I could never show this to anybody. Like watching this at the time, I was like, what year was that? 2012? Yeah, I was like 13. I was like, oh my God, that was just like, nah. I could do that shit, man.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that. And the other thing that I think a lot of people do is they actually mix up and they mix the eras, because that ruthless aggression era was different from the attitude era.
Yeah.
So you
Very
gotta say,
different.
when is
Just
the attitude era? Was it 96 to 2000? So to me,
96 to 2000.
when Stone Cold won the title, that to me was like, you could say from, even if you want to give them when they formed DX, from the formation of DX to, and it's funny, I'm thinking when the cutoff point is for the Attitude Era, would it be somewhere between 2002 and 2002?
It was WrestleMania 17.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. You're right. It would be that. So then, let me. I'm gonna look it up real quick. When was 17? What was that? Was that 01?
That was in
01.
That was in 2001 when
Yeah.
Austin turned heel. That was it. That was the end of the Attitude Era.
If you want me to stud Vince McMahon, give me a hell yeah. Well, it ain't gonna happen.
And that was it. That was
the end.
because people stopped watching immediately after that. Like
Right.
I remember, like every time, like a lot of folks stopped watching after that moment.
So yeah, if you say 96 to 2001, because honestly, people when they got into the ruthless aggression era, and then like the whole Austin joining the corporation, that 2-man power trip, all of that, that's when it started to change. But for those, that's why I say, even when the quote unquote, I guess we're still in the quote unquote reality era now, from when the pipe bomb on. I don't know if CM Punk leaving is the end of the reality era and we're in whatever new era it is. But that's why I say, when you look back on the Attitude Era and you really look back on it and you dissect it for what it is, I for sure think that this era is going to age way better. Way better than the Attitude Era. But if you grew up in that era and you watch it, you're gonna have a giddy smile on your face the whole time, because that's your childhood. You feel me? Like, that's your childhood. But if you take like a newer wrestling fan, someone who didn't grow up in the Attitude Era, and this is their era, and you show them some of the Attitude Era, they're gonna look at you like you're crazy. Like, the moments are gonna resonate, but week to week, nah, bro, I don't know. But that's one of those debates that's great for discussion and great to reflect and really put a discerning eye on that whole generation.
Hey, not to like interrupt or anything, but let me tell you, John Wall is going off right now. My God, like John Wall has been on another level, man.
If y'all didn't know, C-Mac is a Wizards fan. I know you might be a little. Your team has to be on NBA TV, the official playoff station of the Atlanta Hawks.
No, I'm watching on my local station, man.
Oh, that's right. They do the dual cast.
So I'm good.
Was
man.
that
I'm
Sportsnet?
getting my hometown commentary.
Was that Sportsnet?
So I'm good, man.
That's Sportsnet, right?
Yeah. College Cast Sportsnet, man.
Man, shout out to the old gig, no doubt. Yeah, I got one eye on that also, and your man was definitely doing some work. Let's get into this. Let's get into this.
In the East, as far as I'm concerned.
Right. Let's get into this. Let's get into this Raw talk. So,
yeah.
I felt like, for me, watching Raw felt like a bad version of Deja Vu for most of it, where same old boring angles, some cool stuff, some that was so. Obviously Braun and Big Show to me made the entire 3 hours of Raw. But one thing I wanted to talk about before we get into that whole spot, this whole it looks like they're setting up Miz and Ambrose to feud on Raw again. They both come over, and they come over to beef with each other. What is the use of this? Like, why?
There is none. It's just stale. It didn't work the first time, so why do it again?
Yeah.
It shows that that was really I want to say it was more or less the D move was more last minute than Miz, because I figured that Miz was going to get moved somehow. Mm-hmm. But there was like the fact that they moved Dean too, and instead of again keeping Roman Reigns away from TV for the time being, and just have Dean be the ragdoll for Braun, because that would be something different. And you probably would get a cool match out of Dean. Oh my God, yeah, Bradley Bill. But after Dean, and Braun just, Braun kills Dean, probably takes the Intercontinental title. But then again, what do you do with the Intercontinental title? Like the Intercontinental title now, it's going to be Miz's title forever.
Yeah, I'm actually fine with the Intercontinental title belonging to the Miz for a while, because I don't know, Miz has been one of my favorite wrestlers just like this past year. He's really I don't want to say stepped up because he's always been it, but he's really he's really like grabbed the brass ring and like doing whatever's asked of him. And so it's like I just feel like, I know it's kind of crazy to say, but I just feel like Miz is too good for another feud with Dean Ambrose. I feel like
a step down.
I feel like Miz deserves to be in that main title picture. He's been working hard. He deserves to be amongst with like Braun Strowman and all of them. So
you got Brock Lesnar's number to tell him to come to SmackDown, or you got his feet?
I would not mind Brock Lesnar. I would not mind that.
I'd rather, unfortunately Jericho has to go and be on tour, but I don't know if has there been a full Miz Jericho program that I can remember? It's probably just a couple of one-offs, but nothing like full time.
That would be great.
That would be very good. At least be a step up for Miz, especially with Jericho coming off that split with Owens, and that was a pretty hot angle. And and for Miz, that would be something that could rehabilitate him after his stuff with Cena. But now he's stuck, because after you're done with Dean, where else can you go? What, Seth? So he could be pinned again? Right. Roman Reigns, so he get destroyed? Like, he's stuck, like, in this position of just being an Intercontinental champion forever. And, I don't know, maybe putting someone over afterwards, but he's going to keep that title for a while after he wins it over Dean.
Right. They might, what I'm thinking is a couple of things. One, Miz winning and losing at this point doesn't really matter as much. That's a testament to him. Because he can still get the crowd on hot. He can still make stuff interesting. That was my main issue with him and Dean doing it again. Like, if you brought them over, have them do something different. Even if they did something different and then eventually found their way to each other because of the title, fine. But to set it off like that, I'm just, they do good work together, which is cool. But it reminds me of how Ziggler and Kofi Kingston had like a 25 match war where they would even joke about it, where it was like, Ziggler versus Kofi Kingston again, where there was like a 2-year span where it was when they didn't have anything to do, just have them wrestle each other. And they were cool matches, but it's like, are y'all doing a series? There's something on the line? Like, why do I always see you guys? They even low-key started doing that, which I thought was a very underrated and cool feud when Kofi fought Randy Orton. That's when I thought Kofi was next, boy. When he put Randy through the table in Madison Square Garden, I was like, yeah. That's when I knew they put Kofi in the right spot. Yeah, he's gonna surge. But I don't know, that really, to me, other than that. The one interesting thing I see about Raw is they're treating the Drifter like a non-playable character in a RPG, like the dude that you go to do the side quest.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, which is just funny because he just appears out of nowhere and is just strumming. So that to me is something that's cool to do with a character where even if you don't know what to do with him, he's a cool character where you could just put him in random spots. He's to me he's like the new Damn, the Ron Simmons, where he'll just randomly show up and start strumming his instrument. It's way better than just putting him in some bullshit angle. But I don't know. I thought that
way
was
better.
Pretty cool.
You're just putting him in the ring. Period. So this is like the best gimmick that's on the main roster right now. Just him randomly appearing, strumming his guitar, and either folks would be weirded out for it, or they'll just give him a head nod like the club did.
I'm just expecting him to roll up to a random wrestler and tell them if they're looking to gain their mystical ring tights, he has a side quest for them to join. But it's cool. But let's get to the main event. The fact that Braun is a monster. His shirt came out, by the way, on WWE Show.
Finally.
I
gotta cop one.
Gotta cop.
The whole front row of Raw is going to be filled with just monster amongst men shirts.
Yo, it's lit. It's so lit
now.
So this match that Braun, first of all, the fact that Braun went through the whole I'm gonna beat everybody's ass until you give me competition, I thought that was pretty cool. Where he came out of nowhere, decimated Golden Truth. What he did to Kalisto was wild disrespectful.
Threw him in the trash.
It's wild disrespectful.
Call him garbage.
And I remember you reminded me, Bree. I told you I was going to tell you the story of when I said it reminded me on Twitter. It reminded me of me and my little sister. She was like, "You threw your sister in the garbage," and I was like, "No, I did not throw my sister in the garbage." So, quick story of why that reminded me of me and my sister. Like, my sister grew up. I treated her like my brother. I was always wrestling with her and doing shit, and that's why I know there's probably a few ladies from her high school that are mad that I did that, because she basically got to high school. It was like the gooch. if you fucked with her, you knew that was gonna be the first time and the last time. But there was one time I think I came in the house and I if you have siblings, you gotta fuck with them when you see them. I see her. I said something crazy, and I went to my room and I thought it was all good. She snuck up behind me on some wanting to rob me type shit. Like it was literally out of nowhere, and she started trying to yoke me up. So I'm like, all right, this is fun for like the first 5 seconds, but now I got to assert my authority, because if I put her over, it's gonna be a wrap, because now she's gonna know every time that she could do that to me. So we're like tussling or whatever. I like go to like I don't know what I try. I think I try to do like a tie up, or I try to like lunge at her, and she reversed me. She reverses me, and I go into the wall, and I go through the wall.
Oh.
Wow.
Like we put a hole in the wall, and everything just shut down, and we look and we're laughing. But then I quickly stopped, and I was just like, so yeah, my mom is not really gonna like this. But I was at the point where I had a job or whatever, so that was coming out of me. But the fact that she pulled that reversal on me, I was like, yo, did you hit X or something? She hit X and caught me or whatever. So that's why I said that reminded me of me wrestling my little sister. But what did you guys think of the match with him and Big Show? I was pretty impressed. They were out there moving.
Yeah.
Second straight match that they had, it was pretty fire, man. I'm like, it was great. I loved it. Like the fans love it. The fans love it. I love it. And excuse, wait, hold on one moment.
Yeah, but my fault. Are you?
Go ahead, Marcus. Go ahead, Marcus.
Okay, I was gonna say, we all knew what the end result was gonna be. Like, of course, the ring was gonna collapse. They didn't have the LED ring post. Yep. Mm-hmm. So we knew that was gonna be the end result. But yeah, I actually say this match was much better than their first match together.
Yeah,
and,
it seemed like they did a lot more.
Huh?
It seemed like they did a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they just seem to flow. Like they just move so easily together. They have a really great chemistry in ring, and it just shows every time they wrestle. So I definitely enjoyed this match.
I will go up there and I will say that I went back and I looked at when Show and Brock Lesnar broke the ring, and it was, first of all, everybody who was complaining, oh, they did this before. It was almost a decade and a half ago. And if you're going to complain about that, then we can open the floodgates of reused tropes and storylines and stuff that you've seen before, and how we always know something is going to happen because we know if somebody's getting beat down, you look to the back because somebody's going to come out and do the save. Like it's been done week after week. But I will say, for me, not even being prisoner of the moment, this ring break was better than the Lesnar show. Lesnar show ring destruction, and only because of John Cone, the ref. When I tell you, the ref disappeared.
Going out the ring and then bouncing off the ringside floor. Right back to the apron was like the best spot of the year so far.
I don't even think that was...
best I've ever seen.
I don't think that was meant to happen. I don't think that he was meant... Because if you see, he gets out the way and he's leaning on the ropes. Like, he's leaning on the ropes, but I think he was trying to brace himself.
Wait. Oh, shit.
Yeah. Right. And it's funny because their bounce made him jump. Then the ring collapsed. And his side is the side that collapsed the most. So it's almost like when you're leaning on, like if you're leaning back in a chair and then the legs just come out from under you and you're like, oh, shit, and you just get caught. Shout out to the cameraman, because the way they shot it, when he fell, he automatically sold it. But they made it look like he disappeared. And then when they went to the other shot, you couldn't see him. I was like, yo, the ref, they destroyed the ref. He evaporated. I was screaming, bro. Like when they were showing the replays and all the GIFs that came out, the Lesnar one was crazy because I feel like that break was like a straight break. As soon as they hit, it just went out. But this one was wild, over the top, dramatic, and the ref made it to me. What do you guys think? Which break did you like better?
Yeah, I definitely liked this one better.
What about you, Bree?
Yeah, this one was way more dynamic. And of course, the ref just flying out of the ring made it even more better.
Someone made a RIP joint for him.
Big Show's. I like Big Show's and Mark Henry's ring break better than Brock and Big Show's too, by the way. Because we haven't talked about that. That one, that was the first ref bump. That was the ref bump where he bounced on his knees, went down, and then rolled over. Like that one really took me out the game until John Cone came and just bounced out the ring and then bounced off the floor.
Yo, I forgot
and it just
that one.
Straight up died right in the middle of the ring. So yeah, that second ring break was just as good as the Brock Big Show one, if not better. This one was just the best of them all.
I saw people making memes of R.I.P. John Cone. I think those are always funny, but I never want to be the ones to make them because I just don't want to play with that. I just don't play with that. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm human. I laughed, but
Cone should ref at all next week Raw. Or even
he's got to be out
because
he has
to be finished. You got to sell that.
Yo, if he's out of action until Payback, I would be screaming, yo. Because he was legit when they sent everybody in. Some people were outside with him. Some people are with Big Show. But the one thing that I would say that made it ill was how Braun shook it off. Like he got up and he stood up and walked out on his own too. That to me was ill because that just made him even stronger than they were making him before.
Oh, yeah. He should not lose to Roman Reigns ever in life, honestly, at this point.
Right, but, that's another way to build Roman up if he can take him down, the monster. But and we'll cover Payback once it's coming up to it, but is so many thoughts I have on where that should go. Even from their first match, it's just a whole lot that they're going to have to clean up. So let's go over to SmackDown Live. Let's talk about the six-pack challenge. Jinder Mahal, Hard Body Mahal, Kurt Cobain.
Hard Body.
I'll say this. I clowned it. I clowned it when it came out. I clowned it when it was the second match on Raw. Yo, that was a good match to me. I'm sorry. Yeah. That was a real interesting match. And the way it ended, if anybody were to go to Vegas and had put money on Jinder Mahal, you owe all of us drinks because I know you got money. I know you got money because Jinder Mahal. I didn't see that coming out of. That literally came out of nowhere. I thought it was a dope touch with the Bollywood boys. If they're doing like a Bollywood faction, like a Bollywood World Order or something like that, I think that would be crazy. But
oh yeah.
One question I had for you guys: do you think with this win by Jinder Mahal, does that make the WWE Championship more or less likely to stay on SmackDown? In other words, I guess Randy Orton would retain. So, Bree, I'll start with you. What do you think?
I think it'll stay on SmackDown. Personally, I think with Jinder being the number one contender, it kind of shakes things up. Like it makes the title contention different. So it's not your typical contenders anymore. So I'm here for it. I think it'll stay on SmackDown.
What about you, Chris? Chris?
Yes.
What about you?
Sorry about that.
No, good.
Well, I feel like it's going to stay on SmackDown at this point now. You know, they have to build up Jinder, and mainly because WWE is expanding into India now, and we're having Jinder there along with the Bollywood boys. It gives them more exposure. It helps out with their market there, and it's a good experiment to have. You know, I mean, they need to do something like this, especially on SmackDown. SmackDown is still this, as much as we like to perceive it as the A show, as the better show than Raw, it's still the secondary show. And as far as the secondary show goes, it's best to have, using guys to experiment, to reinvent certain guys that were lower on the card or guys that were high on the card at one point, but their star has waned over the years. Give them a chance to reinvent, rehabilitate themselves, and come out fresh, prepared to go back onto Raw, like what happened with Miz. So for him, I mean, I'm giving it a chance. I mean, goddamn, this is not like having, unexperienced reality TV stars are president of the United States. This is just, a guy that happens to be of a different ethnicity and nationality that can help expand into their market. So why not give it a shot? I mean, this is better than Khali, as far as I'm concerned. So having Jinder there, giving the Bollywood boys a shot, and then there's a possibility of maybe bringing in Aaliyah as one of their female valets, hopefully. And then there's also look at the outlook of 205 Live with Arya Davari and Mustafa Ali. And Davari, wow, he's turned a 180 right now with his new gimmick. Now he's Dubai Davari. I'm liking that already immediately. So hey, I'm giving the Brown folks a shot, man. They deserve this, and they need to get this in, and I really want to see Mahal and see how he does, because this is a big opportunity for him.
Right, and I don't understand why people were getting so upset at him winning, where people always clamor for new and people getting opportunities, and this is somebody who it's out of left field, but why not? You got SmackDown. You're supposed to be the show of opportunity that plays to it. And personally, for me, I love the promo that he cut afterwards, saying that you hate him because he doesn't look like you. He speaks different languages. He's talking straight to the base, if you will, of the wrestling fans. And it's real reflective of what's going on now. And I'm not going to front. I'm 100% in his corner if that means going after All Lives Matter Orton and taking the belt off of him. That's the one reason why I was hyped, because when I thought about it, I was with you, Chris, when I said when you said Bray has a real good shot of winning the title, bringing it to Raw while they wait out Brock and finding a way to get one of those titles onto SmackDown later on down the line. But now, I'm all for it. I'm all for this feud. I want to see it. I want to see it develop. What about you, Marcus? What do you think? Marcus, you still on? Oh, hello? Man.
Uh-oh.
We might have our first drop.
There you go.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, all right.
So I was asking, what did you think in terms of the
Nah, but I mean, I'm with it, but I don't know. This seems like all transitional, so it's just like short term, nothing like real long term from all. Like it's good right now, but in the long term, it won't be. But I mean, I'm here for it. It's
Why don't you
something
think it
new.
will? Why don't you think it'll be good in the long term?
Just because it's like Jinder Mahal, like it's nothing like bad because he has worked hard, but it's just like over the years, it's just like I don't know. I just like don't see him as a marquee player just like a year from now. Like I don't think like not just like where he's at as a person. Like I see somebody like Mustafa Ali or somebody of that nature getting a title shot, but just like Mahal, like, I don't see him being like the guy for an extended period of time.
I hear you. I mean, he got too many veins to fail, bro. He got too many veins showing to fail. To me, I just like his. I like his attitude.
Let's just also talk about how 3MB as a whole rose to fuck up over the years now to where they are. You got like with Heath Slater, you know, being in a tag team with Rhino, even though they haven't got as much exposure as they were did. You know, he got over really huge, you know, as a babyface. And they end up becoming the first ever SmackDown Tag Team Champions, you know, and Drew McIntyre now reinvented himself and now it's going to become a major fixture within the NXT brand. And now you have Hard Body Mahal getting his own stable and now number one contender for the title. It's pretty damn amazing what can happen
in a few years, right?
In a few years. Wow. They were just jobbing, like as you know, guys as a comedy act. And now here they are, pretty serious contenders. It is up to us as fans to and fans in general, just to like just adapt to the change, because you got guys out here that that have been lower mid card guys, job guys for a while, for years and years, and then they start to receive opportunities, and we have to get behind that because it's very interesting how we won't accept it here in the States that much, but I watch a whole lot of Japan and Mexico, and I see guys that were lower card guys for a long time. And then when they finally get their moment, people get behind them really heavy, like with Tokiami Hama and Yoshihashi in New Japan, and Tomohiro Ishii, like it's the best example, period. And Hechicero and CMLL, that like those guys, they were guys that were like lower card guys. Now they're like at the top of the card, and they're just having great matches. So I'm giving this opportunity, man. It's we should see that, from time to time. If it doesn't work, oh well. But hey, it can't say that they haven't tried.
Yeah, I'm all for that opportunity too. Bree, let me ask you. I was thinking about that too, and I saw you talking about that, Mac, about their comeuppance and getting 3MB getting their due. Bree, do you think they have had the best jobber to main event player ascent of anybody ever? I was really sitting here trying to think who's come up better from being a jobber, quote unquote, to really getting that opportunity and shining. Anybody come to mind for you?
No one else really. I mean, 3MB has had the ultimate glow up in terms of just from jobber to future champions or current or not current, but champions in general. Like
heavy contenders.
Yeah, Heath Slater was one half of the first SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and Jinder Mahal could be a champion for all we know, which honestly I'm hoping. And Drew McIntyre is back. So, they've definitely had their glow up. So,
I would say the two people I could think of, I don't think 1-2-3 Kid counts because his whole gimmick was based off of that. You know what I'm saying? Like it was right. But I think even his come up through the different factions was cool. But the only other person I could think of right now is Zack Ryder. Because when he made that internet championship and he rode that internet YouTube wave to get buzz, he was one of the first people to use the internet to further his character on screen with all those vignettes, all the stuff that he was doing when he made the internet championship. to the point where I feel like WWE killed his buzz at one point when he had that buzz, and then he kind of was he was in the main event of the mid card for a while, and then he tapered off a bit, but. Feel free, anybody out there who hit us on Nonstop Culture on Twitter, all our social media. Let me know if there's anybody else that you could think of that used the internet the way Zack Ryder did to further their standing in wrestling and in their company. That's the only other person I could think of other than 3MB with the come up that they had. All right, so let's get to this the women's divisions. So it looks like it's set up. Alexa and Bayley are going to be fighting at Payback, and Charlotte and Naomi. It looks like next week they're supposed to be having a title match. And can I tell you how it's so idiotic to me for you to have to face the champion and pin the champion just to get an opportunity at the championship at a later period? Because if I can beat you, I might as well get the championship. I'd rather have to fight somebody. It's like, to me, I don't understand why in WWE they do that. It's not logical. It doesn't. You're giving away a match between a challenger and a champion just to say, okay, I don't know if it's their logic that we see Charlotte beat her and in our mind we think, oh, she really has a chance, and then the next week she gets beat, and it's JK, it wasn't really going to happen. I just it never makes sense for them to do that to me.
I feel like the logic in that only applies better when it's in a tag match scenario, or if they're facing off in some type of tournament where the champions just qualified in there and they just end up getting pinned. Like that it makes a little more sense that way, because then you set up a challenger as opposed to you're granted a match if you beat the champion in a singles match. You can face him on the next pay-per-view or next week. I mean, might as well just give him the title shot right there.
Imagine if in UFC, in order to be the contender, you had to fight the champion, but you didn't fight the champion you fought the champion in a non-title and knock him out, but you don't get a belt. You just get to fight them in 6 months again.
Nah, if we talk about UFC, you just get that interim belt.
The paper championship.
So you just get that interim belt, and then you get the real one.
Right. Yeah, but imagine, you actually have to fight the champion. Then it's like, okay, you get the interim belt, and then now y'all got to unify the title. It's so stupid. But the way, go ahead, Bree.
I didn't say anything.
I was just gonna say, but it's wrestling, so it's looking like. Hey, Charlotte beats the champion and she doesn't get the title. It happens. It's Charlotte.
Right.
It's the Flair brand, so
the game
can't really
be
too
upset
right? About it.
The game is the game, I guess. Yeah, so with the way they have it set up now with Charlotte and Naomi and Alexa and Bayley, which one of those feuds is more appealing to you guys? Marcus, I'll start with you. Between Alexa, Bayley, or Charlotte and Naomi, and why?
I'll just say Charlotte. Well, I say Charlotte and Naomi just from wrestling, because Naomi is an underrated athlete, and Charlotte is a fantastic wrestler, and I would like to see those two. They had great chemistry in their match on this past Tuesday. But I would like for them to get a solid 20-minute match in where they can fully display their whole arsenal and go at each other. And so even though Charlotte would carry the feud on the microphone because Naomi's just average on the mic, I definitely would look forward to just the wrestling aspect of this feud.
What about you, Bree?
I completely agree. I'm definitely here for Charlotte and Naomi, just mainly due to the athleticism. I know that we're going to get a really high-flying match between those two, so I'm definitely more so looking forward to Charlotte and Naomi.
Chris?
Far and away, Charlotte and Naomi, because Charlotte, she's currently the best worker women's worker on the main roster. And bringing her into SmackDown, it just raises the division a level above on Raw, especially after you watch that Fatal 4-Way on Raw. Oh my God. Yeah, that got there. There's my hopes for the Alexa Bailey match, but for Alexa and Bailey, I actually have. I feel like that could be still good because I remember the last time Bailey and Alexa faced each other, it was Alexa's send-off match in NXT, and that was actually really good. And actually her best singles match to this day. And for now, watching it payback, it's going to be in Bailey's hometown in San Jose, so the crowd is already going to be behind it. I can feel like it's going to be okay, but I'm not too sure. Alexa, there's some times her timing is always off in certain points, and Bailey hasn't been the best either. So, but we might actually get a fun match, with the crowd interaction and whatnot. But for Charlotte and Naomi, that they're the two best athletes, on a women's roster, and I feel like with enough time with those two together, they're going to have great magic. So yeah, for sure, Charlotte and Naomi is going to be the better match of the two. And unfortunately, I feel like Charlotte, she's going to end up. I don't think she's going to win the title. I don't think she's going to win the title right now. They're going to turn her face, as what I've seen so far on TV.
Well, shout out to our guy Johnny Five. What he said that he said on Twitter that Charlotte does what she does best, which is beating minorities.
Oh yeah, that's sure.
And it's so true. She's like the Black Slayer, bro. She's like Buffy the Black Slayer. Like that's all she does is dethrone black women from their titles. But I agree. From a match perspective, it's far and away Charlotte and Naomi. One interesting thing about Bliss and Bailey is just from a gimmick point of view, where I just love Bliss as a bully. Because if you've ever known short people who have the Napoleon complex and they're always mean, and it's like, how are you a bully and you come up to my waist? You know what I'm saying? But it's like she runs the yard. It's like she runs the yard, and you legit like, yo. She's like legit Harley Quinn type crazy. I love it. I love it. So from that perspective, I think on the mic, she could really be bullying Bailey and trying to get under her skin. And it's what they had in NXT, where it's like the nice girl Bailey versus the mean girl Alexa. So from that perspective, I'm eager to see that grow. But yeah. Totally, it's Charlotte and Naomi. Give them 20 minutes. Shit, give them the Iron Man match or something. Like I'd love to just see them go for a while and build some chemistry so that they can get better and put on a dope match, because I think they could really rock it. All right, so that does it for the wrestling talk. We're gonna switch over.
Real quick. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you guys realize how like the United States Championship means more than the WWE Championship right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Blatantly.
Is that okay? Just checking.
It's the face of America, bro. It's the face of America. You better brush up on your French. You better get your parlez-vous français. We don't deal in just one language anymore. It's Kevin Owens, and I'm glad you brought that up, because his new Titantron is everything. His face emblazoned, the smug look. Like, I love it, bro. I love it. But that's one of the reasons why, to me, I was saying, even if they got rid of the WWE title, they're about to elevate the hell out of the U.S. title. This is about to be peak WCW days again, where you needed to have a cowboy hat and eat red meat every day to hold the U.S. title. Like, when it was that prestigious. But they're really about to elevate that joint. With him and AJ Styles, it's going to be Ring of Honor all over again. It's going to be great. I think it's going to be dope. And I like how they're setting it up where that's how it used to be. Where those U.S. and IC titles, they weren't just figurehead titles. They meant something. That meant that you were next, and that's why you had the up and comers and everybody wrestling for it. Because when you had that, you could say that the world title is next on my radar, because that's how prestigious it was. But over the years, it's fluctuated in its prestige just because of the way it's been booked. But I'm all for them booking the title that way, 100%. Any other general thoughts before we switch gears?
Oh no, KO is just doing great work as always. So.
All right, cool. Well, let's switch over to this. Let's X over to this comics talk. One cool piece of news: Gina Rodriguez has been cast in the animated series reboot of Carmen Sandiego. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? She's getting it's coming out in 2019, getting 20 episodes. I think this is awesome. Her come up has been amazing. Like, she's really situating herself. If Marvel does anything with America Chavez, and she gets that, like, it's all, like, you know, she's buying all of us dinner for a year straight. Like, that's how much money she's gonna be banking. But what did you guys think about this news?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. She has been grinding for a long time. It's good to see her finally, like, get her shine with such an iconic character, because I, like, grew up watching Carmen Sandiego before I had to go to school in the morning. So it's dope that they're bringing it back.
Rockapella is a top five.
I'd rather see Gina actually in the red fedora and jacket as opposed to just being on an animated series. Because man,
that's what I thought it was at first.
I'm happy that she's getting this role here.
I thought it was live action at first. That's why I was like, oh, they about to do that. Like, it's gonna be crazy. But then, that's what I'm not gonna lie. My excitement level kind of went down when I found out it was animated, because when I saw Netflix was doing that, I was like, oh, they're about to kill this shit. But who knows? It could go to that. But animated series are always a cool thing. They could do a lot more animated, but just the fact of doing a live action Carmen Sandiego, oh man, that should have been so sick. They got to bring back Rockapella at some point. Top 5 band ever.
I was just gonna say that, like, Rockapella is mandatory if you're gonna do Carmen Sandiego.
Yo,
period.
Though you would talk about the barbershop quartet. That's you talk about an iconic theme song. You heard that joy go up. You knew it was time. Stop whatever you're doing. It's Carmen Sandiego. R.I.P. to the Chief. All day, every day. You know, she it was cool to see a black woman in power like that. That was a time when it was few and far between, where she was running things, trying to catch Carmen Sandiego. The game show was actually pretty dope. Like, you had to, if you wasn't one of those kids who was ill at social studies or global studies, it was a wrap. Like, you had to know everything, fam. Wherever she was, capitals. Like, it was wild. It was wild. Like, that was one of my favorite subjects in school. So I always wanted to go on there, because I was like, yo, I would cash out if I got on this. But it's cool to see. I think it's going to be pretty fun. Netflix is over there building an empire. As we said off the air before we started, there was a report that said Netflix's only competition is sleep. So they have to face a human survival instinct as opposed to anybody else. So, you know, they're gonna keep going with that. All right, and we have a reader question. Before we get into that, we're gonna do a quick preview. So Batman and Flash are crossing over in a crossover titled The Button. So for anybody who's been following DC and Rebirth, what came out of that, after that Rebirth series, which brought Wally West back into continuity, and it tried to explain all the years and years and years of muddled DC continuity between New 52, all the old stuff we probably grew on, and the main explanation was that somebody, a shadowy figure, has been fucking up all the timelines, making people forget their history. So whatever the time gaps which would cause the New 52 and all the new stuff that they've been doing in the comics, they brought it up to one person. This is this shadowy figure's fault. And in Rebirth, I know you guys are familiar. You've heard of Flashpoint and all of that happened before, with Barry Allen doing what he does best, fucking up the timeline and creating a whole new world. the one revelation that came from all of that was Batman discovering a button in the Batcave. And for all of us who, if you've seen Watchmen, you know that's the comedian's button, the smiley face with the blood on it. But that world has never been a part of DC before. So they're introducing that and Dr. Manhattan from the Watchmen as the main character who I guess has been messing up the entire DC continuity. Marcus, I know you've been keeping up with DC and all of that. What do you think about this 4-issue series where they're looking to bring more light on this subject?
Well, I'm excited for it. Have you been reading Superman?
I have, and I was actually gonna bring that up to say that he's actually been, there's been revelations there too where he's combined himself.
Like that previous arc, he what was his name? Myopic. I don't want to get his name wrong.
Mr. Pitalik.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, somebody kept me locked up for all this time. But I feel like this, like Rebirth has started. I'm glad that this 4-part series is starting now, because Rebirth is starting to get kind of stagnant. Like, it was cool with Justice League versus Suicide Squad and the Tim Drake disappearance. But like after a few issues, it's starting to get a little stagnant. So I think this will reboot it again. But I'm very excited because Flash and Batman are like two of my favorite Rebirth titles, and Tom King has just been writing his ass off when it comes to Batman. Like when you heard that Scott Snyder was gonna do his own thing and Tom King was gonna be taking over, at first you worried, but you saw his Vision series and you saw like the amazing work he did over there, and so like he brought that same kind of like flair to Batman, and it's just like a great read. So man, I can't. It's amazing.
Yeah, Bree and Chris, I would tell you if you ever like Batman in the comics and you've never followed Tom King's work, that run that he's on right now, that and the Vision has been real incredible. Yeah. And just from a character point of view, Batman and Flash, they're two of the best detectives in the whole DC universe. So for them to be on it. And you know that, and once again, they're doing their own thing, because we all know how Batman does. You could tell him whatever, he's still going to do his own thing. So they're kind of they're insulating this whole process from everybody else. But what's crazy about this is Reverse Flash is also involved somehow. He's been in the opening pages of having something to do with this too, which makes sense, because you can never have calm in the Flash universe without Eobard Thawne popping up and doing something ridiculous. So I'm looking forward to see, because I know Tom King is involved. So them bringing more light and trying to bring more. Make the storylines in DC more coherent, because even with Superman, for y'all, and I know y'all have followed that, where Superman was one way, and then the New 52, it was a different Superman. Then they brought back the old Superman, and what they basically did in Superman series currently ongoing is the two Supermans merged into one. So Superman remembers, it's both continuities in one. So he in essence has got back all his memories of the every story that he's been in from his inception to now. They've blurred that. And anybody who has had interactions with Superman in his world, all of their lives are together now too. So we don't know what that's going to do or what that impact is going to be to the rest of the DC universe. And I'm hoping that they can explain it away and do it in a smart way, because at this point, I just be reading for the stories. I'm not even going to front, because if you try to keep up with the continuity, you're going to get disinterested. So however they explain that away, I'm good with it. And the writing's been great. The first issue, Batman 21, which is part 1 of the Button, comes up. Chris, Bree, did y'all see Watchmen in the movies?
Oh, yeah. I'm a huge Watchmen fan. I've read the book, too. So
yeah, I read the book when I watched the film.
Pin.
So Watchmen was a graphic novel, right? It was just one graphic novel in the movie. Because
the Button.
I don't know what It is. Oh, that was the title of the graphic novel, The Button.
No, it was just the
No,
Watchmen.
no, no.
Oh, okay.
The button is a very central part of
Right.
the
Right,
graphic novel.
which is crazy with them bringing that into DC and how that's finessing is. I can never. One of these days I have to sit down and watch that entire Watchmen movie. There's always been a reason why I can never get to it. I want to read the book too because I've heard excellent things on it. But it's one of those things where if you're a comic book fan, you're familiar with them. Like there's no way to not be familiar with them. But just to get that deeper meaning and everything going on, want to kind of delve into their psyches and understand why they would be doing what they're doing, and all of that. So, and I've always heard good things about the Watchmen movie also. So I'm interested in that. That's going to be a good series. Batman is one of those series that I'm always checking for, and I'm a monthly reader. So if you guys have been out there, have been keeping up with Batman, keeping up with The Flash, or just want to find out what the hell is going on in Rebirth, that's the preview for The Button. We'll keep you up to date on it and let you know what we're thinking going on. So before we get, do y'all have anything else before we move on to this Ask the Marks question? No? We cool? All right. So, and as always, if you guys have any questions, you can hit us on Nonstop Culture on Twitter or email info@nonstopculture.com. This is our Ask the Marks section, questions that you want to ask us. These are cool. We got a good one. Shout out to Tommy from Be More. This was actually a real good question. When I saw this, I was like, yeah, this is going to be dope. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So just to read the question real quick. Hey, what's up, guys? Love the new show on the concept. I'm heavy in the comics and pro wrestling world, so CxW is a welcome addition to my podcast lineup. Thank you. My question for the team. If there was a comic book superstar shakeup like what we saw in WWE, who would you move from Marvel to DC or vice versa? Who would you call up from other brands like Image or any other independent group? I'm interested to find out what you think. I saw that and I was like, whoa. I was like, yo, that's pretty fun. I think we can have a lot of fun with this. So I put it out to you guys. Bree, I'll start with you. Who if you had a superstar shakeup, what moves would you make?
I am like seriously obsessed with the Wicked and the Divine from Image Comics. So I would actually call up Persephone from the Wicked and the Divine to Marvel. I think she would make a fantastic character. And if you all have not read the Wicked and the Divine, I highly, highly recommend it. It's basically a story about 12 gods, and they go through a cycle every 90 years. And in this current cycle, they're all pop stars. So they're all like based on Kanye West, Rihanna, David Bowie, Prince. Like it is such a dope concept. So the Wicked and Divine is my current favorite. So yeah, definitely Persephone from the Wicked and Divine.
Where would you call her up to Marvel, DC, or just?
I would call her up to Marvel. I think she would, since she has powers of life and death. I think that she would make a really great addition to possibly S.H.I.E.L.D. And yeah, I think she would be great on Marvel.
Okay, cool. C-Mac, what about you?
Of course, I would just do the usual cliche. I would actually have Spawn move into Marvel too.
I hate you so much for
and Batman as well. Like just like having him in Marvel. Spawn in particular, he could be in Hell's Kitchen, confronting and as a shadowy demonic figure that happens to be on again off again ally of Batman. Of Daredevil and a Punisher. And you can also have him in the series working with against Kingpin and then when the Infinity Wars or guys like Thanos and Galactus come through, he could use his paranormal abilities to just go through it and help out the team and work with Doctor Strange from time to time. She's opening the gates of hell and whatnot. So yeah, I have Spawn. It's like he's one of my all-time favorite comic characters and just having the Marvel universe, it will work there, in that type of field, and for Batman, it's just, blatantly obvious, because we get too many debates, about what Batman can do with or without prep time, and, just have him face, the likes of Iron Man and Hulk and even Spider Man, in the heat of battle as opposed to like waiting to prepare against him.
Yo, thinking about Spawn, he actually could be in the Defenders with Luke Cage or even put him because he's African American. Put him with the Crew with Black Panther in them. Mess with Doctor Strange and all those supernatural people. Like there's so much versatility in that. That was one of the first person I thought of because, like you, I was always a big Spawn fan. I never really kept up with the comic as much, but I was always I loved the comic when I was reading it, and the HBO series was off the hook, and y'all could see that on demand too. I loved the comic series, the anime series when it was on HBO. So yeah, that was a good one. But I knew I would have to pivot because I figured one of you would go with Spawn at some point. Marcus, what about you?
Yeah, I got a few. Is that cool or?
I mean, you got like 40, dog. Like what the?
I got like 4.
All right, cool. Do your thing.
Okay. All right. So my first one would be Magneto and the Lex Luthor team up because
in DC or in Marvel.
It doesn't matter.
Gotcha.
They could I don't know, multi universe. Each issue in a different universe, something like that.
Right.
But just because, they both turned over a new leaf, Magneto's head of the X-Men, and Lex Luthor is Superman right now. So I think that'd be good. Also, I had a Nick Fury and Amanda Waller team up in the Marvel Universe. And in Nick Fury's past series, he was like guardian of he was like guard of the earth, so he guarded the earth. So just like Amanda Waller, those two dynamic, just saving the earth before the trouble gets to the earth.
So white Nick Fury then. So you talking about white Nick Fury, right?
Nah, I had the black one.
Well, the white one was the one that was on the wall.
Yeah,
that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But either one, you just flip. You just give him Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson just take that. I get you, no doubt. Keep going.
And then my last one, that's only 3. My last one is the Teen Titans and the Champions team up.
Oh wow!
And it would be this iteration of the Teen Titans. So Damian, Wally, Starfire, Beast Boy. I think that's and Aqualad. And then just with the Champions, and they be in the DC universe. Just because the Champions are. The Champions are really good right now, but I think they can flourish more in the DC universe.
You can see that they're being built to be the Marvel Teen Titans, which is cool because it's always good. There's always money in having a team of teens, teen heroes. So I'm cool with that. But that was a good one. For me, just thinking about, I wanted to think and see what would work and what would I think would be cool. I would actually do a swap where I would put Norman Osborn in Gotham and I would put the Joker in New York and flip their antagonists. So I think it would be off the hook to see Osborn, keeping him as still a billionaire running a company. Have Oscorp in the DC universe and having a billionaire hero and a billionaire villain going after each other with the same amount of resources, the same amount of technology that they can do. So Osborn being Batman's main foe, and then Joker dealing with Spider-Man and actually taking over the Sinister Six, because Joker always has his usual goons or whatever, but to actually control super villains and people with actual powers who are killers and who are all of that, and just that diabolical nature where Spider-Man has had some diabolical villains, but I don't think is as sadistic for a sadistic sake with Joker. And I think that would be with how Peter Parker is, because to me, the Peter Parker is what makes Spider-Man not Spider-Man. So him getting into his personal life, dealing with Mary Jane, with the aunt, and just being as villainous as Joker could be, dealing with Spider-Man, I think that would be crazy. And I'd also, in terms of a call-up, I would probably call up all the characters in the Saga universe and put them in Cosmic Marvel, so that like when the Nova Corps or Thor or any of those people are coming around, they would be involved. They would know about the wars. Like you have the Kree versus the Skrulls, so then you'd have the Moonies versus the land folk and everything that comes with that in Saga. So I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, this was a great question, Tom. Thank you so much. As I said before, if you guys want to ask us a question, send it out to info@nonstopculture.com or hit us up on social media. I think that's it on our end. You guys got anything else?
Good.
No, I think we're all good.
They're like, yo, I'm waiting for somebody else to speak first. I'm good, but I don't know if anybody else is good. All right, yeah, man. We got another one in the books. And thank you guys for listening. If you want to subscribe to the podcast, it's nonstopculture.com/subscribe for all your subscription needs. Be sure to get us on iTunes and leave a 5-star review. We're Nonstop Culture on all social media and on SoundCloud and YouTube. info@nonstopculture.com if you have any questions. Thank you for supporting us. CxW Pod. We'll be with you again next week. And until next time, we'll check you later. Peace.